Race number 2 here for the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup, just a few moments away, and the grid's starting to line up, and it will be James Blake Baldwin on the front row again. Second fastest qualifying times from yesterday, deciding the grid for this one. So although it was Harding that beat Blake Baldwin to the victory in race 1, that will not be the way that things stand at the start of race number 2. Here's the rest of the grid then. Blake Baldwin and Harding row 1, with Herbert and Greensmith again on row 2. Will Stacey 5th on the grid this time, ahead of Carl Garnett, and then Simon Baldwin and Jack Sycamore on the 4th row. Row number 5 of the grid is where we find Aidan Hills, who slipped backwards towards the end of race 1, with Steve Roberts for company. Then it's Lewis Carter and Sam Tatler, ahead of James Kell and Christian White, with Tom Parker and Gary Townsend next up. Bradley Kent and Alec Lindsley, Nick Rutter and Mark Swarbrick, Alex Miller and Aldo Ritty on the 11th row, Javier Brook and Ian McDonald once again bringing up the rear. So race 1 was a phenomenal race between James Blake Baldwin and Jack Harding. Harding got the better of Blake Baldwin though, and by virtue of setting the fastest lap means that he is tied for points for second place with James. Would be had James not had these pole positions actually, so there's still 2 points between them as we go into this race. Away we go, and this time around Luke Herbert makes a much better jump from the inside of row number 2. Look at that, 4 abreast for the race lead down towards turn 1, and it's Harding who gets muscled out in the middle. So Jack Harding, our race 1 winner, already slipping backwards. Look at that, he's down to 4th. He might just pick a couple up as they go back down towards the Dean hairpin, but it's Blake Baldwin crucially who has got himself in the lead this time. Greensmith's going right round the outside. This is risky stuff, but it can work out. Hold your breath, everyone. Let's hope they all get through Dean like they did in race 1. Bit of sideways antics further back, but yes, they are all going to get through, with Blake Baldwin leading, Herbert second. Third is debatable at the moment between Harding and Greensmith. Harding's on the grass and on the outside line into Chapman. Got one car off again though. Oh, would you believe it's Mark Swarbrick for the second race in a row. He's not going to make it round the first lap. He didn't even make it as far round this time. He at least made it to this part of the circuit yesterday before he ended up in the gravel. This time he's off after only 2 corners. Right, Harding back up the inside of Greensmith, and look at Aidan Hills with another stonking start from 9th on the grid. Carl Garnett's barging Simon Baldwin off. Oh, it's already getting a bit feistier than it did yesterday. Down in towards Gracelands we go. Simon Baldwin and Carl Garnett are still side by side, and Garnett finally, I think, might make the move, stick through Gracelands. There's more contact though. Off onto the grass goes Simon Baldwin, and we're going to have to put this all on ice now because the safety car is being called for as a result of Mark Swarbrick's car being off in the gravel. So they race until they see a safety car board. Now they've seen them, that's why the hands are coming out of the cockpits. And we get a chance to take a deep breath after what was a frenetic opening lap. Blake Baldwin leads, Herbert second. 3rd place for Jack Harding, 4th Johnny Greensmith, 5th place there is Aidan Hills, 6th is Carl Garnett, 7th for Sycamore, 8th Steve Roberts, and 9th for Simon Baldwin. Looked like it was Sam Tatler in 10th. And Carl Garnett though, drama because he's going into the pit lane now. What's this all about? Is this a mechanical issue or is this some sort of a penalty? We haven't had any notification of a penalty, but I think that's an issue of some description. He did have a few bits of contact on the opening lap. Promotes everyone else up in position. That means that Will Stacey's back inside the top 10 now. James Kell in 11th. That could be his best finish of the year if he hangs on to that. But of course, there is still a long way to go. So the safety car then is out, picks the whole field up, apart from Mark Swarbrick and Carl Garnett, who is in the pit lane. It's a shame that for Carl Garnett. It's been a season that's promised much, but on several occasions this year it just hasn't quite delivered. He's had various dramas as the year's gone on, and often just when he started to look quite strong, as in at the start of this race, where he was gaining lots of places, fighting for a top 5 or 6 position, and unfortunately it all went wrong. So yeah, the field makes its way slowly past the incident zone. Swarbrick's car should only take hopefully a lap to get that cleared. Gives us a chance just to talk about the championship equation though, because of course we said that coming into yesterday's race there were 6 points between Herbert and Blake Baldwin. Well, Blake Baldwin finished second and Herbert was third, which means that Blake Baldwin gained 2 points out of him for that. There are also the 2 points that are available for pole position, which Blake Baldwin got. So he closed that gap down to just 2 points. So Luke Herbert is now 2 points ahead of Blake Baldwin coming into this race. Jack Harding, though, was able to take 2 points out of Blake Baldwin as well. So, however, they were then instantly negated by the fact that Blake Baldwin had the fastest lap. So he's still 4 points back. Essentially what that means is there are 6 points separating the top 3 in the championship. It's getting closer and closer with each race that goes by. and they are the top 3 in this race. Indeed, they've been the top 3 in most races, it would seem, this season. That's why they're the top 3 in the championship. There is the leader, car number 4, James Blake Baldwin. And with the lights out on the safety car, he is about to go through one of the most important things that you can learn as a racing driver, a green flag rolling restart. It's a real art to this, especially somewhere like Rockingham, where it's quite difficult to actually pull a decent gap on the rest of the field. They are bunching themselves together. When does Blake Baldwin step on it? Keeps it single file, keeps it nice and straight and steady. He's still not accelerating, They're all starting to stack up, and now was the time to go, and Blake Baldwin read that quite well. He'll pull out a couple of car lengths advantage over Herbert behind, which is about as well as that could have gone, really. Rockingham is notoriously difficult place to execute a safety car restart, but Blake Baldwin appears to have managed that pretty well. Across the line he goes, and he'll be hoping that Herbert starts to feel the pressure now from Jack Harding. Through turn 1 they go. Herbert defends the inside line, but Harding tries to throw on back up the inside. Oh, Greensmith's in there as well, and Nathan Hills, who's never far away from the action. In fact, he goes up the inside of Greensmith. Meanwhile, Sam Tatler's up the inside of Simon Baldwin. That was Christian White making a move a bit further back as well. It's all starting to kick off through the midfield. But at the front, no change, still the same order. But Herbert, as he defends from Harding and Greensmith behind, is already starting to lose further ground to the race leader. So he'll need to try and get his head down here, try and close that gap back up again. Back down through Piff Paff, and I thought Harding was going to have a go up the inside, but it's very difficult. It's tempting to go up the inside there because the natural racing line means that you miss the first apex and you pull it back to a late second apex. But of course, that leaves this big inviting gap up the inside for the cars behind to try and launch one up the inside, which I thought for a second Harding was going to do there. He does appear to take a tighter line out of Gracelands though, gets in the tow again down towards Tarzan. Herbert doesn't defend, he's got full confidence that he's good enough on the brakes to keep Harding at bay, which he is. Oh, look at that, up the inside, Aidan Hills nicks 4th place away from Greensmith, but then runs wide on the exit, and Johnny comes back at him, and I think he's going to retake the place. So that's always the danger with going up the inside at Tarzan, is that you're always likely to outbrake yourself and run a bit deep on the exit, which is what Aidan Hills did. But he's shown his intent though, he wants to get himself back on the podium. He was on the podium at race 3 at Brands Hatch last time out. Race 1 today didn't really go to plan. He started that one down in 9th, worked his way up into about 6th at one point, and then fell back down towards the end of the race into 8th place. We didn't see what happened to him, but he lost quite a lot of places. Through the banking at turn 1 he goes, back to the outside of Johnny Greensmith, and Johnny looks like he's really having to work hard to hold on to this position here, and he runs a bit deep again, but Aidan can't quite get up the inside. Again, difficult to do that because the next 2 corners are both right-handers, so even if you do get alongside, you have to have made the move stick before you arrive at Yentwood, otherwise you're likely to lose places by being hung out to dry through the next 2 corners. So through Chapman, you can see this 4-car train starting to develop now. Greensmith, Hills, and then Sycamore and Steve Roberts. Jack Sycamore having by far his best weekend of the season so far. Good run in race 1. He's keeping that consistent pace up in race 2. You never know if it all kicks off in front of him. Top 5 finish is potentially on the cards. He's running 6th anyway, and that would better his best finish of the year so far by 1 place. So Jack Sycamore, the orange machine, getting quicker as the year goes on. It's always nice to see, because although he's not going to be able to become a championship contender this year, there is a chance that maybe he can build this momentum and carry it forward into 2019. He's about to lose a place though to Steve Roberts potentially, because Steve is fully alongside as they head down towards the Brook chicane, but the wrong side of the road to make it stick surely. Sycamore, yeah, should be able to just ease his way back in front. Out onto the pit straight they are coming, and underneath the starting gantry once more, with the leading 3 just starting to gap this group now, with Greensmith definitely looking a bit like the cork in the bottle. Aidan Hills could do with getting through here, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it down into D, and he's looking to the outside, but I don't really think he's quite close enough, is he? Down onto the brakes, into the left-hander. On, so 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th place cars just pairing off now slightly actually. the leaders, though, well, Blake Baldwin is getting away here slightly from Herbert in second and Harding in third, albeit only by a few car lengths, but in MX-5 SuperCup racing terms, that's quite a big lead. And of course, if the two behind start dicing, the further ahead he will get, I think. Through Corby again. Up the hill towards Gracelands, and there's a yellow flag by the looks of it in that part of the circuit, so there presumably is someone that's pulled off at the side of the road, or has gone off at the side of the road. I believe Xavier Brook and Nick Rutter have disappeared from the timing screen somewhere. Whether that's where they've gone, I'm not too sure. The rest of the field still circulating as they head into Tarzan once again. Incidentally, Carl Garnett has rejoined the circuit, but one lap down. Remember, he came in behind the safety car, but he has been able to get back out on the circuit. What the issue was, I don't know. Maybe it was a puncture or something from some contact somewhere. Did have a fair bit of wheel-to-wheel contact with Simon Baldwin on the first lap, didn't he? So I wonder whether maybe that's what's put him into the pit lane and losing a lap. That means that his chance of a big points haul even in this race have gone by the wayside. So back through turn number 1. And into team go the leading 3. And actually, if anything, Blake Baldwin has now got a bit more company from Luke Herbert than Luke has got from Harding behind. Top two certainly the closest pair of the cars here at the front. Then it all equalises itself again out of Dean and into Yentwood. Can Herbert get through? Well, that's not the way to do it, really. Dipping a wheel onto the grass as he turns into the corner. Very lucky not to lose the rear of the car there. And the next couple of pairs, Aidan Hills with another little look at the inside of Greensmith there, but just can't quite get himself alongside. So the cars make their way back down the hill into Corby. And James Blake Baldwin, who has now taken... Well, he was second in the first race. He's looking for his third win of the season. But if he could win this race, that would be the first race he's won all year that's not been a reverse grid race, because his previous 2 wins have come at Silverstone and Brands Hatch. Both occasions it was race 3, which is the partially reversed grid, from which he benefits sometimes from an increased grid position, although it's not particularly that, because he's usually on the podium, so he does usually have to do quite a lot of overtaking, does James, to get those race 3 victories. He's just one of the best overtakers in the business, and so when he's on a charge like that, and particularly if he can start ahead of the likes of Herbert and Blake and Harding, then he does seem able to take advantage of those reverse grid opportunities. But he'd like to win a non-reverse grid race, because then there's no argument. He's clearly doing it on pace then. Aidan Hills, meanwhile, has got some pace here against Johnny Greensmith, gets himself up alongside as they come across the start-finish line. He's on the inside line down towards turn 1, he's got a bit more momentum and he will go through. So Aidan Hills finally breaks through the defences of the former Porsche champion and takes over 4th position. Greensmith tries to come back at him though as they head down into Dean. They go right round the outside, that's always risky, and yeah, Harding's going to just about slide across in front, I think. Through Yentwood. Can Hills now pull away from Greensmith? You'd imagine that with only about a third of the race to go, he's probably not going to have the time to chase down the leading 3, but if at least he can make this 4th place a bit more comfortable, that would suit him quite nicely. Aidan will be looking to try and benefit from that reverse grid draw later on, where we could see up to 10 cars reversed on the grid, based upon what number is pulled out of the hat. So back out of the very quick left-hander at Gracelands they go. You can see the leading 3 still jostling for position, but no actual change in the order off in the distance. Aidan Hills now 4th, Greensmith 5th, Roberts 6th, and 7th place still for Jack Sycamore, but that's no longer going to be, it's going to twice equal his best finish of the year. Where is he going to be able to make the move maybe on Roberts? Is he quicker than Roberts is the question, I suppose. Roberts has found a way past him once already. As the 2 cars in front now start to stretch their legs away from him once more, this becomes one of the closest battles on the circuit, and there you can see it on the screen now. Roberts ahead of Jack Sycamore. Steve Roberts, who 6th place in the championship at the moment. Jack Sycamore outside the top 10 because he had a bit of a bad weekend to start the season off at Silverstone. It's about going up the inside, but then can't do it. They're so close together though as they turn into the left-hander at Dean. Still Roberts in front, but yeah, Sycamore looking back to the start of the season. In fact, Jack Sycamore, yeah, he had a 17th, I believe, was his best finish at Silverstone. When you have a weekend like that to kickstart your season, then unfortunately it's always likely to be a hard uphill struggle for the rest of the year. But he's slowly but surely working his way back towards the top 10 in the points now, is Jack. Just needs to try and build on that consistency. He'll be wanting to take advantage of that mistake as well from Steve Roberts in front, who just dips a wheel onto the grass coming out of Corby. Can't do it into Gracelands though. Meanwhile in front you can see that Johnny Greensmith has not been dropped by Aidan Hills by any stretch. Aidan Hills is really having to defend. In fact, they were always touching as they went through Tarzan that time. So Aidan, having taken that 4th place away, has not been able to run with it and pull away from Greensmith. So he's going to have to get his elbows out for the remainder of the race, you can imagine, because Greensmith himself is not under any pressure. So Johnny can focus solely on attacking the car in front. I do wonder whether maybe Simon Baldwin is catching these two slightly as they head back onto the banking again. Back with the leading trio though. Still Blake Baldwin from Herbert from Harding. Same order it is at the front. Still no one really escaping. Blake Baldwin, I thought earlier on, was making the break, but it's not happened. And so Herbert staying with him. In fact, he pulls to the outside line here as the first real challenge for the race lead here from Herbert. Trying to get the switch back on the exit of the corner. Blake Baldwin skates a bit wide, loses the rear of the car slightly. And so Herbert will be alongside into Yentwood. Watch for another switchback manoeuvre to be attempted here, but James saw it coming, parks the car on the apex, only runs out sort of halfway across the road. And now all three of them right back together again. So place your bets. It could be any one of these three that take home the spoils in round number 11 of the 2018 Mazda MX-5 SuperCup here at Rockingham. Back up the hill towards Gracelands. And will James Blake Baldwin have to defend down into Tarzan? Well, of course, because he defended through the first half of the lap, it's held both himself and Luke Herbert up. So Jack Harding's that little bit closer to them again now as they head into Tarzan, and they're so close together. Look at that, Herbert just tapping Morse code onto the tail of, Harding onto the tail of Luke Herbert's car. But it's all well and good doing that. You then lose your momentum that you built up through the corner. You really want to try and get alongside them if possible. Of course, that becomes frustrating though when the car in front is defending so well. Fastest lap in this race, by the way, belongs to Luke Herbert at the moment. So Luke would therefore only be losing those couple of points to Blake Baldwin. That, by my reckoning, would put them tied on points going into the final race. But we'll do the sums between this race and the third race to let you know exactly what the point situation is, but it's very tight, that's for sure. Onto the brakes, into the Dean hairpin. And starting to run out of time now as well, getting in towards the last couple of laps of this race. Can James Blake Baldwin hang on? So far so good, and Herbert doesn't seem really quite as close as he has been on occasion, so looks as though Blake Baldwin, it's funny though, isn't it, because in race 1 he seemed fairly content to follow Jack Harding for the first half of the race, and then as the second half wore on he seemed to get quicker as Harding started to struggle. Well, in this race he pulled out the little advantage in the first 10 minutes or so, only for Herbert and Harding to reel him in over the second half of the race. So it doesn't look as though there's any real consistency there, does there? It's hard to predict what's going to happen at the best of times in this championship. If you ever dare to predict, you're probably going to be wrong. I would have maybe predicted that James Blake Baldwin, based on yesterday's race, would have come on stronger as the race goes on. But we heard Jack Harding saying after race 1 that the conditions today were expected to be a lot warmer, and they are. You can see it's bright sunshine now at Rockingham. So with the conditions being that little bit warmer, you do have to just tweak the car a little bit. It's mainly tyre pressures that you would change, and the hotter the temperatures are, the higher the pressures are going to get. So you maybe have to start with some slightly lower tyre pressures, and then let them increase as the race goes on. But whether or not that's maybe what Blake Baldwin didn't do, maybe he started with a higher tyre pressure and started to struggle as the race goes on. Although having said that, he's all of a sudden romping away from him. Look at that, look at the gap that he's pulled over. Herbert in second position. Harding therefore is giving him a little bit of a harder time now as they turn into Dean for what I believe will be the final time. Yeah, Dean hairpin they go through. Herbert's still second with Harding third, but they've dropped over a second behind now all of a sudden. And that was all of a sudden because they were right with him half a lap ago. So maybe there was a mistake somewhere from Herbert through the chicane that we didn't catch, and that of course will have held Harding as well because there's nowhere to go through the chicane if the car in front has a bobble. No choice really but to either run into the back of them or hit the brakes and slow down. I don't know whether that's what's happened, but it certainly appears that something has occurred between Herbert and Harding to drop them this far back. And so actually James Blake Baldwin is going to have a fairly straightforward, he says, finding some wood to touch, half a lap now to the flag. And just like buses, you wait for another win to come along. And well, this will now be his third win of the season, won't it, for James Blake Baldwin? So 3 tires on the go. Oh, Jack Harding up the inside for second place there at the last lap. Gets alongside Luke Herbert, but he runs out wide on the exit of the corner. And Herbert gets back alongside. Can Harding stay up the inside down towards Brook Chicane? I think the answer is probably going to be no. Indeed it is. So Herbert gets over to defend, but that came out of absolutely nowhere there for Jack Harding to get through to second place. Well, that means that they drop even further back from Blake Baldwin now, who comes out of the final corner to take win number 3 of the season. Round number 11 of the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup goes to James Blake Baldwin, and with it he gets even closer to the championship lead. Herbert will still finish in second place though, I can tell you, from Harding in third. Those two separated by just 36 thousandths of a second at the line. Here's confirmation of the result then. Blake Baldwin from Herbert from Harding, with Aidan Hills hanging on to fourth position. Greensmith 5th, Jack Sycamore 6th, then Steve Roberts 7th, Simon Baldwin 8th, Sam Tatler 9th, and Will Stacey in 10th. Lewis Carter's next, ahead of Gary Townsend and Tom Parker. Alec Livesley and Christian White round out the top 15. Then it's Aldo Ritty, Alex Miller, Bradley Kent, Ian McDonald, and Carl Garnett. James Kell, Nick Rutter, Xavier Brook, and Mark Swarbrick were our 4 non-finishers.
James, a cracking start there in the second race. You kind of spoiled Jack's chances of having 3 wins out of 3.
Good. That was the idea. Yeah, we had a good start for once. I'm usually rubbish at starts, but no, got away and just sort of managed the gap and crossed the line and got a win.
Luke was challenging a couple of times, but then he fell back. It looked like you'd controlled the tyres a little bit better and kept them fresh for the end of the race.
I'd like to take some credit to say yes that I controlled the tyres with, you know, but no, I think Jack was battling Luke, to be fair, and that just allowed me a bit of breathing space to take my own lines and get away.
Third race, reverse grid, going to be a bit more tricky.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the last race. It's always a bit more manic, and I think we start 7th now, so could be interesting. But, you know, Blink Motorsport done an amazing job with my car, so it's down to me.
Well, we look forward to seeing you after the third race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Luke, tough battle out there in the second race. Congratulations on second place, but really tough. Yeah. And just got over the line in 0.03 of a second or something.
I know, it's, my starts are key this year. Managed to get off the line, around the outside of James, ahead of Jack. And then, yeah, it was a hard battle all the way to the end. I mean, James drove a great race. It looked like I was giving him a hard time, but I was just trying to hang on and had Jack behind and pushing me in. You know, Jack made a couple of good moves in the last lap, last couple of corners, but unfortunately it didn't pay off for him. We managed to cross the line just 10 seconds. So yeah, fantastic.
Really, really close. And third race coming up. Can you actually take a victory here at Rockingham this weekend?
Well, we've got a reverse grid now, so I think I've been pulled to start 6th. James is 7th, and Jack's 5th. So Jack's got the upper hand in this one, and Jack, you know, as he showed in the first weekend, he's flying around here. So it's all going to be who can get through the traffic first. Whoever gets through the traffic first, if they get to the front, they're going to win the race. But you know, fingers crossed. As long as I can get a podium, I'll be happy.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that. Congratulations once again, and hopefully we'll see you after the third race.
Thank you very much.
Jack, you don't make our lives easy, do you? That was really close there for second place, 0.036 of a second.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Can I just say, first of all, massive thanks to the team, AK, for just, giving me a great car. I feel like I let us down a little bit in that race, but it was a brilliant car yesterday. The win that I got yesterday was for Bell and for Hope. But yeah, it's been tough. James and Luke both made a massive step forward today, and we seem to sort of either stay the same, or if anything, we just dropped off a little bit. So it was a tough race, but third still better than nothing in it.
Critically, though, it puts you in front of them both for the third race because of the reverse grid. Is it going to be a case of who gets through the traffic better?
Yeah, exactly. We start in front of them, but I've done that before. I started in front of them at Brands, and then by turn 2 they were in front of me because I made the wrong decision. So hopefully we get a good start, get stuck in, and we just need to get through the traffic as quick as possible, because we know if we can get up front, then we've got some great pace and we might be able to take the win. So we'll give it our best shot.
Well, congratulations on your third place, and we look forward to seeing how you race out there in the third race.
Thank you very much. Cheers.